High Commander Vextal stood at the observation deck of the Zarek flagship Eternal Light, his crystalline form refracting the starlight as he contemplated the peculiar readings before him. The newly discovered species called themselves humans, and their first contact protocols had been primitive, to say the least. Another report from the analysis team, Commander, announced Subleader Creeks, her crystalline form pulsing with the traditional colors of formal communication. The humans appear to still rely heavily on mechanical propulsion and silicon-based computing systems. Their entire civilization seems to be built on outdated principles of physics. Vextal's outer shell rippled with amusement. The Zarek had long since transcended such basic technological constraints, having evolved into beings of pure energy housed in crystalline matrices. Their civilization ran on quantum consciousness networks and zero-point energy manipulation. "Show me their primary defense systems," he commanded, watching as holographic displays materialized around him. The images showed human vessels with primitive metallic hulls, projectile weapons, and what appeared to be basic energy shielding. "Fascinating," Vextal mused. "They've barely scratched the surface of true energy manipulation. Their shields wouldn't even stop the Zarek civilian transport's wake turbulence." The human diplomatic team had been persistent in their attempts to establish peaceful relations, but their very presence was almost insulting. They arrived in ships that still used reaction mass for propulsion, wore environmental suits that relied on physical materials rather than energy fields, and communicated through electromagnetic waves instead of quantum entanglement. "The Council expects your preliminary assessment, Commander," Creeks reminded him. "They're particularly interested in whether this species should be considered for protectorate status." Vextal's form pulsed with definitive colors. "They're centuries away from true civilization, Creeks. Their entire system sits on a critical trade route, and their primitive technology poses a hazard to modern navigation. We would be doing them a favor by assuming control now and guiding their development." The decision was made with the casual dismissal that came from thousands of years of technological superiority. The Zarek had encountered dozens of emerging species, and all had eventually submitted to their benevolent oversight. These humans would be no different. "Prepare a formal declaration," Vextal ordered. "Inform them that for their own safety and development, the Zarek Confederation will be assuming administrative control of their solar system. Give them the standard time frame to prepare for transition." As the message was dispatched, Vextal observed the human diplomatic vessel. Its hull was a patchwork of metals and ceramics, with visible seams and joints that spoke of manufacturing limitations. How they had even achieved interstellar travel with such technology was barely comprehensible. The humans' response came within their planetary rotation. It was brief, transmitted through their crude radio waves. "With respect, we decline. This system and its inhabitants are under the protection of the Sol Defense Initiative. Any unauthorized attempt at administrative control will be considered an act of war." The command deck erupted in crystalline laughter. The humans' bravado was almost endearing. Their entire civilization's energy output was less than what the Eternal Light used for basic life support. "They cannot be serious," Creeks chimed, her form sparkling with mirth. "What do they expect to defend themselves with? More chemical explosives and projectile weapons?" Vextal's amusement was tinged with a hint of regret. He had hoped they would be reasonable. "Send the standard warning. Full spectrum energy wave, maximum non-lethal amplitude. Let them experience true power, just enough to understand their position." The Eternal Light's primary emitter charge, gathering energy from the quantum vacuum itself. The resulting wave would overload every electronic system in the human fleet, leaving them helpless but ultimately unharmed. It was a demonstration the Zarek had performed countless times, always with the same result: immediate submission. The wave launched, a perfect sphere of pure energy expanding outward at light speed. Vextal watched with practiced disinterest, already composing his report to the Council about another successful peaceful transition. Then something unprecedented happened. The wave hit the human ships, and nothing changed. Their primitive vessels continued to operate as if nothing had happened at all. "Impossible," Creeks whispered, her crystalline form clouding with confusion. The waves should have overwhelmed any known shielding technology. Before Vextal could respond, new readings began pouring in. The human ships were moving, but not retreating as expected. They were advancing in a precise formation, and their supposedly primitive hulls were beginning to emit an entirely unexpected energy signature. "High Commander," one of the sensor operators called out, their voice carrying the harmonic overtones of deep concern. "We're detecting something emanating from the human vessels. It's like nothing in our database." That's when Vextal saw it. The human ships were surrounded by fields that seemed to flicker in and out of existence, not the smooth energy barriers the Xeric used, but something far more complex. And within those fields, their crude metal hulls were beginning to take on properties that defied conventional physics. The humans' response came again, this time with a different tone. "Perhaps we should discuss this further, High Commander. There seems to be much about humanity that your databases have failed to capture." For the first time in his long existence, Vextal felt something he had never expected to experience when dealing with a primitive species: uncertainty. The Xeric Council's emergency session pulsed with agitated energy signatures as High Commander Vextal delivered his report. The crystalline amphitheater, normally a model of ordered light and harmony, flickered with discordant patterns of confusion and disbelief. "Impossible," declared Council Elder Zareth, her ancient form casting fractals of doubt across the chamber. No silicon-based technology could withstand a full-spectrum energy wave. The laws of physics themselves prevent it. The humans, Vextal responded carefully, appear to operate outside our understanding of those laws. The data streams from the encounter played across the council chamber. The human ships, rather than being disabled by the Xeric's energy wave, had somehow absorbed it, their hulls transforming the pure energy into something else entirely. "We've analyzed their response thousands of times," Sub-Leader Creeks added, projecting her findings into the shared consciousness space. "Their ships aren't just resistant to our energy weapons, they're using them. Somehow, they've developed a way to capture and redirect pure energy using nothing more sophisticated than modified semiconductor arrays." The council chamber erupted in a cascade of competing light patterns. The very idea challenged everything the Xeric had built their civilization upon. They had evolved beyond physical forms, beyond the crude manipulation of matter, into beings of pure energy and thought. The suggestion that a species still bound to physical forms could match or exceed their capabilities was more than controversial. It was heretical. "Show them," Vextal commanded, and Creeks projected the most disturbing footage from their encounter. The images showed a human vessel after being struck by the energy wave. Instead of its systems overloading, its hull began to exhibit quantum properties. The metal itself seemed to shift between states of matter, becoming something that was simultaneously solid and energy, defying classification. "Their response to our second warning was even more concerning," Vextal continued. "When we attempted a focused beam attack, the footage showed a Xeric strike cruiser firing its main quantum cannon at a human destroyer. The beam, capable of cutting through a small moon, simply disappeared into the vessel's hull. Moments later, the energy re-emerged from multiple points across the ship's surface, but change transformed into something that the Xeric sensors couldn't even classify. They're not just defending against our weapons," Creeks explained, her form pulsing with urgent harmonics. "They're learning from them. Each attack we launch gives them more data, more energy to analyze and adapt to. Their silicon-based systems are somehow capable of processing and replicating quantum effects that we thought required consciousness-level computing." Elder Zareth's form stabilized, emanating the deep resonance of grave concern. "You believe they knew this would happen, that they allowed us to attack?" "Yes," Vextal admitted. "Their diplomatic team's behavior makes more sense now. They weren't ignorant of their technological position. They were assessing ours. Every scan we performed, Every demonstration of our capabilities gave them more information about our weaknesses. The council chamber dimmed as the implications set in. The Xeric had evolved beyond physical form because they believed it was the only path to true technological advancement. They had spent millennia perfecting the manipulation of energy and consciousness, dismissing material science as primitive and limited. "There's more," Creix added, her crystalline form vibrating with nervous energy. "We've detected unusual quantum signatures from their home system. Their planet's silicon deposits. They're not natural. The entire planet's crust has been seeded with engineered semiconductor arrays. Their world itself is one massive quantum computer, operating on principles we never even considered possible." The silence that followed was heavy with the weight of paradigm shattering. The humans hadn't failed to develop energy-based technology. They had chosen a different path entirely. While the Xeric had abandoned physical form in pursuit of energy mastery, humanity had found a way to merge the two, creating something entirely new. "They're requesting a formal diplomatic exchange," Vextol reported finally. "Not as a primitive species seeking protection, but as equals. They say they have much to teach us about the potential of silicon-based quantum systems." Elder Zareth's form pulsed with the colors of wounded pride. "Teach us? We who have transcended physical form." "Yes," Vextol replied simply. "Because in transcending physical form, we may have blinded ourselves to whole realms of possibility. The humans remained bound to matter, but they made that bond work for them in ways we never imagined possible." A new transmission from the human fleet interrupted the council session. The message was typically brief, but carried in weight that belied its simplicity. "We look forward to sharing our understanding of quantum silicon integration. Your energy manipulation technology is impressive, but you've only scratched the surface of what's possible when you combine it with properly engineered matter. Shall we begin?" First Contact Specialist Dr. Sarah Chen watched the crystalline forms of the Xeric diplomatic team pulse with barely contained agitation as they toured the silicon forge. She had seen this reaction before, the moment when an advanced species realized just how thoroughly they had underestimated humanity. "These are your warriors?" asked Elder Zareth, her crystalline form refracting light in patterns that the translation matrix identified as extreme skepticism. Before them stood a line of what appeared to be ordinary humans in simple gray uniforms. No energy fields, no crystalline matrices, no obvious signs of advanced technology. Just flesh and blood, carbon and water, watching the aliens with patient expressions. "In a manner of speaking," Sarah replied. "Would you like a demonstration?" At the elder's acknowledgement, Sarah nodded to the line of humans. In perfect synchronization, their forms began to change. It wasn't the dramatic light show of Xeric energy manipulation. Instead, their very matter seemed to shift, their bodies taking on properties that shouldn't have been possible for organic beings. "Impossible," whispered Subleader Creix, her crystalline form clouding with confusion. "They're generating quantum fields from their own cellular structure." Sarah smiled. "We discovered something interesting about silicon's quantum properties centuries ago. It's not just about computing. It's about integration. Every cell in their bodies has been enhanced with engineered silicon matrices at the molecular level. They aren't wearing technology. They've become one with it." To demonstrate, one of the warriors stepped forward and held out his hand. His flesh became translucent, revealing an intricate network of crystalline structures that perfectly merged with his biological systems. Each cell was a quantum processor, each nerve fiber a superconducting pathway. "You integrated quantum computing into living tissue." High Commander Vextol's form pulsed with a mixture of horror and fascination. "The complexity required, the precision. That's where you made your fundamental mistake," Sarah explained. "You saw silicon as primitive because you approached it from the top down, trying to impose quantum effects on classical systems. We worked from the bottom up, letting quantum effects emerge naturally from properly structured matter." She gestured to the warriors, who began to demonstrate their capabilities. Some shifted partially out of phase with normal spacetime, others manipulated quantum fields with casual ease, and still others demonstrated the ability to process and redirect energy in ways that made the Jarek's own abilities seem crude by comparison. Your energy-based evolution was impressive, Sarah continued, but you hit a wall because you abandoned the physical realm entirely. We kept one foot in each world, quantum and classical, energy and matter, silicon and carbon. The results were multiplicative. The demonstration continued as the warriors showed how they could interface directly with any silicon-based system, their consciousness extending into the quantum network that humanity had built throughout their territory. They were simultaneously individual and collective, matter and energy, wave and particle. This is why your energy wave attack failed, Vextol realized aloud. Their bodies themselves are quantum computers, capable of analyzing and adapting to any energy pattern in real time. Exactly, Sarah confirmed. But more importantly, this is why we wanted to establish diplomatic relations. Your mastery of pure energy manipulation is extraordinary, and we believe that combining it with our silicon integration technology could open up entirely new frontiers for both our species. The Jarek delegation's forms rippled with complex emotions as they watched the warriors demonstrate more abilities: instantaneous quantum teleportation, matter-energy phase shifting, and consciousness transfer between silicon matrices. Each demonstration challenged their fundamental assumptions about the nature of technology and evolution. You understood what we were from the beginning, Elder Zareth stated, her tone carrying both admission and accusation. You let us believe you were primitive. We needed to understand your intentions, Sarah acknowledged. Our history has taught us to be cautious. When you attempted to claim our system, you forced our hand. But we prefer cooperation to conflict. Your energy manipulation technology, combined with our silicon integration techniques, could revolutionize both our civilizations. A warrior stepped forward, his body seamlessly transitioning between states of matter while maintaining perfect coherence. We are the bridge between worlds, he said, his voice carrying harmonic overtones that the Jarek could feel in their crystalline forms. Between the classical and quantum realms, between biology and technology, between your path and ours. The question is, are you ready to explore what lies beyond both our current limitations? The Jarek delegation huddled together, their crystalline forms merging into a temporary group consciousness to process what they had witnessed. When they separated, Elder Zareth's form had taken on the deep, resonant patterns of profound respect. Perhaps, she admitted, it is we who have been primitive in our thinking. We assumed there was only one path to advanced civilization. You have shown us otherwise. The Sol System's quantum network hummed with unprecedented activity as the first joint human-Jarek research initiative began. The massive silicon arrays embedded in Earth's crust pulsed with new patterns as crystalline forms of Jarek scientists interfaced with human quantum warriors in ways neither species had imagined possible months ago. Admiral James Chen, father of Dr. Sarah Chen and architect of humanity's silicon revolution, observed the proceedings from the Quantum Integration Center beneath the Himalayan mountains. The facility's walls seemed to breathe as quantum effects rippled through its silicon-infused structure. Remarkable, High Commander Vextol commented, his crystalline form synchronized with a nearby quantum terminal. Your silicon matrices don't just process quantum information. They actually generate new quantum states we've never observed before. That's because you were trying to impose order on quantum systems, James explained, his own silicon-enhanced consciousness extending through the facility's networks. We learned to let quantum chaos drive evolution, then shaped it through silicon resonance patterns. The demonstration area below them showcased the first attempts at true human-Jarek integration. Quantum warriors worked in perfect synchronization with Jarek energy beings, their combined abilities creating effects that defied conventional physics. where human silicon networks met Xeric crystalline matrices, new forms of matter-energy interaction spontaneously emerge. We were wrong about so much, Vextal admitted, his form displaying the complex harmonics of deep reflection. We thought abandoning physical form was the key to advancement, but you've shown us that the true potential lies in synthesis, the perfect union of matter and energy, classical and quantum, organic and silicon. A team of researchers had just achieved their first successful consciousness merger. A human quantum warrior's silicon-enhanced mind temporarily sharing space with a Xeric's energy-based consciousness. The resulting entity existed in a state that was neither purely physical nor purely energy-based, but something entirely new. "That's why we let you believe we were primitive," James said, watching as more teams achieved similar breakthroughs across the facility. "Your civilization had reached an evolutionary dead end without realizing it. By abandoning matter entirely, you cut yourselves off from half of reality's potential." The facility's quantum displays showed similar experiments happening across Earth and throughout the solar system. Each success added new patterns to the global silicon matrix, expanding humanity's understanding of quantum classical integration exponentially. "But how did you discover this path?" Vextal asked, his form synchronizing more deeply with the facility's systems. "What made humans look to silicon enhancement rather than energy transcendence?" James smiled, his quantum-enhanced consciousness extending to share memories directly through the network. "We almost went down your path. Early in our quantum computing research, we thought consciousness uploading and energy transformation were the future. But then we discovered something in our own biology. Our cells were already performing quantum computations." The memory stream showed the crucial discovery: human brain cells exhibiting quantum coherence through naturally occurring silicon compounds. It was a tiny effect, barely detectable, but it helped explain consciousness itself. Instead of fighting this natural quantum classical hybrid state, humanity had decided to enhance it. "Your species chose to embrace complexity rather than transcend it," Vextal observed, his form resonating with new understanding. "While we sought to escape the constraints of matter, you found ways to make those very constraints work for you." Below them, the first fully integrated human Xeric hybrid entity had stabilized. It existed as a perfect fusion of silicon-enhanced organic matter and crystalline energy matrix, demonstrating capabilities that neither species had believed possible. The hybrid could manipulate both matter and energy at the quantum level, exist simultaneously in multiple states, and process information in ways that transcended both human and Xeric understanding. "This is just the beginning," James said, his consciousness expanded through the global silicon network. "Together, we can explore the true nature of reality, not by abandoning our physical nature or remaining trapped by it, but by finding the perfect balance between all states of existence." The hybrid entity below them began to demonstrate its capabilities, effortlessly shifting between physical and energy states while maintaining perfect coherence. It could process quantum information through its silicon matrices while simultaneously manipulating energy fields through its crystalline components. "We stand at a crossroads," Vextal declared, his form pulsing with the harmonics of profound revelation. "Our civilizations took different paths to advancement, each discovering only half of the truth. Together, James finished, we can unlock the full potential of both paths. The question is your civilization ready for true synthesis? Not just technological cooperation, but a fundamental reimagining of what it means to exist." 1 year after the first successful human-Xeric integration, the combined council chamber aboard the orbital station, Synthesis, buzzed with activity. The station itself was a testament to what the two species could achieve together. Its walls were a living matrix of silicon-enhanced matter interfaced with Xeric crystalline energy structures, creating an environment that existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously. Dr. Sarah Chen stood before the assembled representatives, her silicon-enhanced form shimmering with quantum possibilities. Beside her, Elder Zareth's crystalline structure had evolved into something new, a hybrid form that incorporated engineered silicon matrices, allowing her to exist in both energy and matter states. The results from the first year of integration have exceeded all projections, Sarah announced, her consciousness extending through the station's quantum network. Over 10,000 successful human-Jeric mergers have been achieved, each one advancing our understanding of reality itself. The chamber's quantum displays showed the transformation spreading across both civilizations. Human colonies were adopting Jeric energy manipulation techniques, while Jeric worlds were incorporating silicon matrices into their crystalline structures. The boundary between the two species was becoming increasingly fluid. We were both right, and we were both wrong, Elder Zareth observed, her hybrid form pulsing with harmonics of joy. The Jeric believed that transcending physical form was the path to advancement. Humans believed in enhancing and transforming matter. The truth lay in the synthesis of both approaches. The station's sensors detected a new quantum signature approaching, the first ship of its kind, crewed by permanently integrated human-Jeric hybrids. Its hull was neither matter nor energy, but something in between, able to shift between states at will. The vessel itself was alive in a way that defied traditional understanding. Admiral Chen's consciousness joined the network, his presence felt throughout the station. The Silicon Revolution was just the beginning, he shared. By combining our understanding of matter-energy integration with Jeric pure energy manipulation, we've opened doors we never knew existed. The displays showed the changes rippling across both civilizations. Human quantum warriors now routinely shifted between physical and energy states. Jeric energy beings could manifest silicon-enhanced physical forms at will. But most importantly, new forms of existence were emerging, beings that were neither human nor Jeric, but something entirely new. The question of superiority became meaningless, Sarah continued, interfacing directly with the station's systems. We discovered that true advancement wasn't about transcending our nature or remaining bound by it. It was about embracing all possibilities simultaneously. The hybrid ship docked with the station, and its crew joined the network. Their consciousness was a perfect blend of human individuality and Jeric collective awareness, enhanced by silicon quantum matrices and pure energy manipulation. They existed in a state of constant quantum superposition, their very being a bridge between all forms of existence. This is what we've achieved in just 1 year, Elder Zareth declared. Imagine what we'll discover in a century, a millennium. We've moved beyond the question of which path was correct. Matter or energy, silicon or crystal, individual or collective. We've learned to be all of these things at once. The station's quantum field rippled as more hybrid vessels arrived, each one a testament to the new age of exploration that was dawning. They were no longer bound by the old limitations of physics or consciousness. Every discovery opened new possibilities, and every possibility led to new questions to explore. The humans were right to let us discover this truth on our own, a Jeric Council member admitted, their form now incorporating silicon matrices. If they had simply told us about silicon integration, we would have dismissed it as primitive. We had to experience its potential firsthand. Sarah smiled, her form shifting between states as she addressed the chamber. And that, perhaps, is humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy. Not our technology, not our understanding of silicon quantum integration, but our willingness to let others find their own path while remaining ready to share what we've learned. The hybrid ship's crew transmitted their first findings from the edge of known space. They had discovered phenomena that neither humans nor Jeric could have perceived alone. New forms of matter-energy interaction, dimensions that existed between quantum states, and possibilities that defied description in any single form of consciousness. We stand at the beginning of a new era, Admiral Chen declared, his consciousness resonating through the quantum network. Not as humans, not as Jeric, but as pioneers of a new form of existence. Together, we've learned that the true path to advancement isn't about choosing between matter and energy, between classical and quantum, between individual and collective. It's about finding ways to be all of these things at once. The station's quantum field pulsed with the combined consciousness of all present, human, Xeric, and hybrid alike. In that moment, they were one mind considering the infinite possibilities that lay before them. The old questions of superiority and primitive technology seemed distant and irrelevant. They had evolved beyond such concerns into something greater than either civilization had imagined possible. Their future was no longer bound by the limitations of any single approach to existence. They had become living proof that the greatest advances come not from transcending one's nature, but from finding ways to expand it infinitely in all directions at once. The age of synthesis had begun. The end.